We know who won on the pitch, but who won off it? It may not be who you think.
Welcome to the inaugural Finance Premier League, where we will determine who will be crowned financial champion for the 2021-22 season. I'm Tom from Numbers Behind the Net, and I'll be bringing you all the action as it unfolds. First, let's remind ourselves of what happened on the pitch. Man City took the ultimate prize, pipping Liverpool to the title by a single point. Chelsea and Tottenham rounded out the top four, and at the other end of the table, Burnley, Watford and Norwich found themselves in the bottom three and a trip back to the Championship. But what happened off the pitch? Our teams will go head to head across 5 financial rounds.
Revenue.
Who generated the most income in the year?
Operating profit.
Who was steadiest at the back and protected the bottom line?
Wages per point.
Who got the best return for their staff investment?
Cash from operations.
Cash is king, so who made the most of it in the day-to-day?
Cash from transfer.
Who wheeled and dealed to bring in the most cash from transfer fees? The teams have submitted their financials. We here at Numbers Behind the Net have done the analysis, so let's get straight to the action.
Revenue.
It was a fantastic year for the combined Premier League, with the 20 teams generating £5.5 billion in revenue this season. But who will take home the first silverware of the financial season? Let's find out. The lower teams hovering around the 150-200 million mark, but things are changing dramatically when we hit the top 6. It's definitely a tale of 6 of one, 14 of much less. It looks like Man City may have just edged it, so let's go to the classified scores. It is City, with the on-field champions the only team to pass the £600 million mark. As was in the actual campaign, Liverpool are next, with Man United and Chelsea rounding out the Champions League spots. At the other end, the bottom 3 positions match the footballing league table. Revenue pretty much mirrored the results on the pitch, except for Man United. So after our first round, Man City topped the table. But this league isn't just about revenue. We want to know what happens at the bottom line.
Operating profit.
Using our standard definition of operating profit, check out our previous videos to get up to speed. Let's see how the league as a whole got on. From that £5.5 billion revenue, the teams combined in fact made an operating loss of over 400 million, a 7% negative operating margin. Is every team making a loss? Well, we're going to have to head to the scatter chart to see. The lower teams, except for Burnley, are hovering around the break-even mark. As we go up, the volatility seems to be greater. And what the hell has happened to Chelsea? The top 2 are above the breadline, but this is a very different story to revenue. One thing that is the same though, Man City once again reign supreme with 46 million in operating profit.
And that is why City are champions, history makers, the Premier League team of the century.
Chasing them all the way though are surprise packages Burnley, Brentford and Brighton. The triple Bs showing that profitability can be achieved across the whole league. And the bottom 3? Well. Chelsea and Man United have gone from top 4 in revenue to the relegation spots in operating profit. Those must be some huge cost bases they're dealing with. Totting that up, Man City have extended their lead, with Liverpool their closest challengers. A number of teams share bottom place with 14 points as we head into round 3.
Wages per point.
Of that £5.5 billion generated across the league, total staff costs were £3.6 billion, 66% of total revenue. So with that chunky staff cost, it's critical to see the returns on the pitch. So we'll take the staff costs of each team, divide by the number of points won, and that will give us the cost of the wage bill per point earned, a way to measure the effectiveness of the playing squad. Let's take it back down to the scatter plot, and we're starting very high with Norwich, dropping back down to the 2 or 3 million per point mark for most other teams. Whew, astonishingly high for Man United, and back down we go. Some big outliers in our main peloton there, but who takes home the 20 points? Well, we can see City's streak is over, with Brentford smashing the wage bill efficiency table, getting their 46 points at 1.5 million apiece in staff costs.
It's brilliant from Brentford.
The rest of the top four comes from mid-table, with Brighton, Wolves and West Ham all achieving higher points at under 2.5 million a pop. On the flip side, Chelsea and Man United again dropped to the bottom three alongside Norwich. Man United have been the least effective with 6.6 million per point achieved, 4 times that of Brentford. A valid comment for the top teams would be the need for bigger playing squads to deal with European competitions, but for this, we're just focused on the Premier League performance, as that TV money is the foundation for most teams. So how does that change things? Well, City are still in contention, but West Ham have creeped up into top spot, with 3 scores above 14 so far. How will we go in the cash stakes?
Because we have some breaking news and...
Unfortunately, the financial statements for Manchester City Football Club Limited have taken the exemption not to produce a cash flow. Their parent company, City Football Group Limited, does, however, but this company encapsulates other teams like Girona in New York, so it's not a like-for-like comparison. Therefore, we will not be able to evaluate Manchester City for the remaining cash rounds, and so will be out of contention. To be clear, this is just a limitation on the financial information available. There is no judgment on anything else. With that controversy now dealt with, let's move on to round 4.
Cash from operations.
Go back to our previous videos if you want a reminder, but cash from operations is the amount generated from the EBITDA line items in the P&L. Across the 20 teams, that was just under 400 million. Will there be as much volatility as we've seen in the profitability rounds? Well, we're seeing a lot of teams with small outflows. Brentford again appear to be punching above their weight, but the top teams are generating a lot more cash inflows, with the striking exception of Chelsea, who've seen a ton of cash go out the door. But it's the other side of Manchester roaring now to take their first prize, followed by the traditional Big Six members Liverpool, Spurs and Arsenal. The bottom 2, now we're at 19 teams, are Chelsea, who are now frequently in these spots, and a first mentioned for Everton, who also saw over 30 million cash go out the door in the year. Let's add those scores in, and things are starting to heat up as we head into our final round.
Cash from transfer.
In the year, the 20 teams bought players for a stonking £1.3 billion. Having recouped £650 million from sales, the net spend in the year was just under £700 million. Let's see how that's scattered amongst the teams. We've got lots of ups and downs, some big, some small. We can see only 3 teams actually generated cash in, so the scores should be interesting reading. Watford surprisingly take the top prize.
Do not scratch your eyes. You are really seeing the most extraordinary finish.
With Southampton and Chelsea the only others on the right side of the chart. Wolves had the next smallest outflow to round out the top 4. And outflows, the biggest were Man United and Arsenal at over 80 million each. So that is it. 5 rounds now done. All that's left to do is add up the final scores and see who will be crowned the first ever Finance Premier League champion. And it's the Hammers! Yes, West Ham have taken the title with a fantastic performance across all 5 rounds. Let's have a look at that final league table. Keeping Man City aside, it's Everton and Norwich who finish in the bottom slots. Chelsea and Man United both finish in the bottom half. Liverpool are the only team of the top 4 on the pitch to retain their status in the financials, along with Brighton and Burnley. And up at the top with the title, West Ham United. So how did they do it? Well, in the first 4 rounds they took at least 14 points in all sections, consistency winning out. Would Man City have challenged had they had a cash flow to analyse? Certainly possible, but they would have needed another 26 points from the last 2 rounds to overtake the Hammers. Well, that's the first Finance Premier League now complete, but there won't be long to wait to see if West Ham can retain their title. The financials for the 2022-23 season are starting to come in, and when they're ready, we'll ride again. I've been Tom from Numbers Behind the Net, and see you next time.